Grace and peace. Welcome to Judas Roar Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative YouTube channel. I'm your host, Apostle Cheryl. So, before we get started, take a few minutes, check down here below the video, click on subscribe, and then make sure you click the bell for notifications. That way you'll be notified each week when we upload a new video. We upload new videos every Sunday evening at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, thank you for taking the time to do that. Now, listen, last week we talked about the enduring power of hope. And this week we're going to talk about rekindling hope, how to rekindle it if it has become diminished because of the experiences that you've been exposed to. Okay. And so we're going to talk about how you can rekindle hope. And I'm going to share some tidbits of things that I've experienced in my own life. And as I said in the previous video, I'm excited because now there's science to like bear out what I've been saying for years and years and years. And I'm just so excited about that. This is the definition that Dr. Chan Hellman shared. And remember now, he is the professor at Oklahoma University. And as I shared previously, there have been over 2,000 studies that have been completed and published that bear out that there's actually a science around hope. Okay. Now, just to recap, hope is not just goosebumps. It's not getting deep and mystical from a spiritual standpoint. It's not declaring and decreeing. It's not saying those things that are not as though they are. It's not any of that. Hope goes beyond optimism. It goes beyond the rose-colored glasses. It goes beyond all of that, okay? And so it's an actual mindset. It is a frame of mind. It is a worldview, okay? And like I said, there's science to bear this out. So hope is the belief that your future can be better and that you have the power, the authority to make it so. And that you have the power, that the power lies within you to make your future better than your present. Okay. So let's just say you've been through, you used to be a hopeful person and you've been through all kinds of foolishness, all kinds of tomfoolery and abuse and trauma in your toxic relationship. How can you reclaim your hope? How can you rekindle your hope? And so I'm going to share with you what worked for me. If your life situation were improved, what would it look like? If your life situation were improved, what would it look like? So this is what I want you to do. I want you to write down what that would look like. Here are some examples. I would have my own place in a safe neighborhood. I would have a support system that is knowledgeable, right? Not just wanting me to have a better life, but is knowledgeable in terms of helping me to find the resources to accomplish that. I would want improved social, physical, emotional, and financial well-being. So I would want all of those things to improve. Now, keep in mind, and we shared in the previous video, that one of the things that these studies has determined is that the greatest predictor of our well-being going forward is our measure of hope. And that hope can be measured and that hope can be taught. The first thing I said was, I asked you a question. If your life situation were improved, what would it look like? Okay, and so now I'm challenging you to write it down, write down all the details. I would have my own place in a safe neighborhood. I would have yellow curtains at the window. I would have a breakfast nook. I would have, write in detail what your life would look like if it was better. And understand that we're not just talking about the absence of the abuser, the absence of being cursed out, the absence of financial abuse, the absence of sexual abuse, but we want to also look at what can you add to your life? What can you add to your life to help to rekindle your hope, right? To help to rekindle a hopeful mindset or worldview. So envision it, actually write it down. The Bible tells us to write the vision and make it plain. Okay? Make it plain. That means put some detail in it. Don't be superficial. Okay? Um, and if you can't safely write it down, maybe you can do a voice recording. It needs to be someplace where you can keep it safe, right? And where the abuser will not get their hands on it. All right. Safety planning is a great way to restructure that vision. Safety planning is an awesome way to do it. And so if you get a really good template, then you can fill in some specifics. And not only is it good for identifying what your goals are, what your desires are, but it's an excellent tool for identifying where to access what you need in order to bring this vision to fruition. Okay. Number 3, understand that simply exiting the abusive relationship, as much relief as that may bring, okay? And it's a critical step, it's critically important, it's a pivotal step, but it's not enough to simply leave. The absence of the abuse alone is not enough to facilitate the rebuilding of your life and the rekindling of your hope, okay? So you have to have a plan to rebuild your life and to reclaim your self respect and to reclaim your voice. And again, that safety plan is key. Here's another thing: connection with others is a key component. Connect with advocates, connect with support groups. And I'm gonna go so far as to say this. Support groups in general are great. Connect with a support group that has some kind of oversight or involvement with trained clinicians or advocates. Otherwise, you'll end up being surrounded by a lot of people who have had similar experiences and similar trauma, and they're not much further along than you are. And so you want to make sure that you're connecting with someone who is knowledgeable and can add to your vision, right? The adding meat to the bones of this vision of yours. So connecting with others is key. And as we stated in our previous video, the reason that isolation is such a powerful tool and such an effective tool in the hands of an abuser is because it causes you to stagnate, and it robs you of an opportunity to learn and to grow. It robs you of an opportunity to be reinforced regarding those aspects about you as a person that are actually amazing and positive. Okay. And so let me just share this. When I was going through my situation, which I look back on it and it is still unimaginable to me, okay? I think that one of the things that really helped me to hold on to my hope, sometimes it was like the white knuckle hang on thing, but the one of the things that helped me to hold on is this. There was a lot of negativity and a lot of abuse at home. But when I went to work, I worked with delinquent teenage boys, and the majority of my staff were male staff, and I was in a position of authority there. And I received positive feedback, not inappropriate feedback, but positive feedback regarding my work ethic, positive feedback regarding my care for the patients and making sure that the treatment that they received was clinically based and that it was clinically sound. Positive feedback from my male staff regarding my being supportive of them and understanding when their schedules needed to change, et cetera, et cetera. So although I was getting a steady diet of negativity, I was also getting a steady diet of positive encouragement from other male figures in my life. And it helped me to remember that this is the only human on the planet that apparently I can't get along with. And so it helped to prevent the abuse from taking as great a hold um, within me as it could have. Had I only been isolated with the abuser and did not have that positive reinforcement, I don't know how things would have turned out. Okay. It would have been a lot more difficult, as hard as it was. But I had a constant reminder that I'm getting positive feedback from here. So isolation is not good. You want to resist the isolation piece as much as you can safely. You want to make sure that you're connected with knowledgeable people. People that care about you, that's great. Someone that's knowledgeable and cares about your future is even better. Okay. So connection with others is key. And because they can help you connect you to the resources and they can provide that positive feedback that you so desperately need if you're stuck in a toxic relationship. Hope does not occur in a vacuum, not real authentic hope, not the real deal. It does not occur in a vacuum. We have to be connected to something, some entity that's greater than ourselves, someone outside of ourselves. Okay, because come on now, come on. If I've managed to get myself into an abusive situation because I ignored red flags, or however I got there, I shouldn't be relying on only my own advice, right, to get out, because this is how I got in it. And so you want a different perspective and you want some different input. Here's the thing. Now, developing a plan that is as detailed as possible. And this is why it's great if you can do a safety plan and have trusted others view it. A DV advocate, someone who's not going to betray your confidence, someone who's not related to the abuser, someone who's not enamored with the abuser, who's not afraid of the abuser. Okay, they have no emotional connection to the abuser. Their primary concern is your welfare and your safety, and how can they help you? Okay, how can they be a resource for you? Here's another thing. Here's another piece that's really, really important. How motivated are you? How motivated are you? Okay. When people begin to tell you that you should leave and you find yourself less likely to make an excuse about why you should stay, that's an indicator that your motivation is increasing. So here's the question. How much, how badly do you want this vision that we're talking about, right? And can you see yourself in it? Can you see yourself one day in this safe place, in your own place, in a safe community with yellow curtains at the window or whatever color you prefer, a nice little breakfast nook, um, I don't know, nice music playing in the background, um, reliable transportation, a good paying job. Can you see it? Can you envision it? So I want you to be able to picture that. Picture yourself in that situation. Picture yourself in that situation. Educate yourself. Develop that plan. I'm telling you, hope can be rekindled. Because there were times in my situation where I just felt like all the oxygen was literally being sucked out of the room, just sucked out of the room, just sucked out of the room, and that there was just no way out. There was no way out. And that's how it felt. Okay. But I had to make a decision that this is not my life. And this is not how I'm going to live my life. I'm not doing this for the rest of my natural life. And I plan to live a long time. So now what do I need to do to ensure that everything that I just said can be true? All right. But again, having people connected to me that cared about me, having people connected to me who could give me positive feedback, which countered the negative feedback, was critically important. It was critically important. Um, and I've always been a person of faith. Okay. And so here's the thing. You have to trust that the resources are there somewhere. Someone around you, someone nearby has what you need, and you have to look for it. And so, as you've heard me say before, and those of you who have heard me minister in a church setting, we have to be actively involved in our own deliverance. The thing about real hope is this: it involves us doing something. If we're not doing something, then we're just wishing. For those of you who have maybe exited an abusive relationship before and then found yourself going back, and there's so many reasons why this happens. And we know that on average, a woman leaves 7 times before she stays for good, right? Before she can exit and literally stay away. For those of you who have found yourself back in a toxic relationship, or even in a brand new toxic relationship, this is what I want you to do. Remind yourself that it's not unusual for you to be back in it, and it's not unusual for you to move on to another more abusive, equally abusive relationship. It's really not that unusual. But tell yourself this. This way, tell yourself, I'm not stuck forever. I don't care how many other times I've been stuck, I'm not stuck forever. Okay. And one thing about it, I know how to get out because I got out before. And if I pay attention to the last plan I had, I can improve upon that plan in terms of what I need to have in place next time so that I can exit safely and stay out. Listen, as I stated previously, hope is not about simply having goosebumps. It's not about cliches and slogans on bumper stickers. It's not about putting on our rose colored glasses and sprinkling confetti and fairy dust everywhere. It's not about incessantly quoting scriptures. That's not what hope is. That's not what hope is. It's about our mindset. It's about our frame of mind. It's about what we're telling ourselves about our circumstances. Real hope does not require that I minimize the horror or the pain or the trauma of having been ensnared in a toxic relationship. Okay, real hope can acknowledge that all of that happened. That happened, and I'm embarrassed about it. That happened, and I'm ashamed of it. That happened, and I'm angry about it. Okay. Um, and it's not about being focused or deadlocked on what was wrong, but real hope has to do with identifying what is right. What is right. And I'm telling you, that's what helped me to exit my situation. That despite what I was experiencing at home, when I was at work, it was the complete opposite. It was the complete opposite. It was unconditional positive regard from males, delinquent teenage boys. And most of my staff were male staff. And that's what helped me to understand that this is not my life. This is not my life. And the only person that sees me the way that they're saying is them. And this is the only other human being on the face of the earth that apparently I cannot get along with. So it wasn't likely that I was the problem. Okay. And that's something that I figured out, but only because I had something to compare it to. Identify what is right. Identify what your strengths are. Ask your friends what your strengths are. Okay. What can you build upon? What can you build upon? This is Apostle Cheryl. We've been talking about hope and what it is. We've been talking about rekindling hope. And I've encouraged you to identify what it is you want your life to look like. Connect with people who are able to help you to find the pieces that you need to complete that picture. Okay. Understand that you can feel better. You can feel better. You can improve financially, socially, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. All of that is absolutely possible, but you've got to want it. And you've got to want it enough to become actively engaged and involved. A safety plan is not something that can be developed for you without your buy in. You've got to buy in. If you want your life to look different, you've got to be able to see it. You got to be able to see that thing all the way down to the color of the curtains in the new place. You got to be able to see it, not just the absence of the abuse, not just the absence of the trauma. That's part of it. But what are you putting in its place? What is it that you want to see in its place? And then how do you access those things? This is Apostle Cheryl. It's our prayer that this video has been helpful to you in terms of getting your hope rekindled. The Bible says that hope deferred makes the heart sick. But when desire comes, when we can catch a break, it is a tree of life. We are pulling for you. You're amazing. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. You be safe out there. Blessings.